So I want to thank Alana for this question and it was specifically around making herself more comfortable to avoid pain when she's writing. And Alana, you're not alone. I'm actually working with a client right now who's facing the same issue. So thank you for asking this. And so right now I'm just, taking the environment that I have. And this chair doesn't have any back support. So if I sit into the chair, you'll notice that I've totally lost my lumbar lordosis. In losing my lumbar lordosis, my thoracic kyphosis comes forward a little bit, my head comes forward a little bit, and then if my writing surface is totally flat, it brings me down into this position for reading and writing. So we want to make changes to that. You all by now know that I'm not very tall, so I have my feet on the foot of the table. Now, if that wasn't a possibility for me, a stool would be necessary, but I need to, first of all, change my seat in some way. So without actually getting a new chair, I'm going to make the first modification. All right, so my first modification is to create a lumbar lordosis. I could just simply put a towel and leave it there, but what would happen is it would keep falling down. So if you do have a back of a chair, you could take your towel, put it inside a bigger sheet or a blanket, and then when you get up and down, it's still going to be there for you. Now, by putting my lumbar spine into a better position, it's aligning my thoracic spine. Now, I still have the issue of looking down at the writing surface that I'm working from or reading from, and that's where binders come in really helpful. So I was thinking about this, but this was a half a century ago. So when I was in grade school, we actually had desks that were tilted like this. And I remember, being able to open the desk, and it was so much fun. But then they got rid of all these desks because they wanted desks that could stack. And so desks that were on slants weren't practical for stacking. So you need to recreate a desk that slants for you. So drafting tables, if you don't have even a surface to start from, drafting tables might work for you. And certain artist easels, might also work. And certainly there are stands, if you're doing a lot of transcribing, there are a lot of paper stands where you could actually put the work that you're working from and then transcribing to, so that your head doesn't have to come down to the surface, but the surface comes up to you. So that's option one. All right, option number two, and this is what I tend to do when I know I'm going to be in a place for just a few minutes, is, and partly because it's a lot faster, is I will get myself to the edge of the chair. Because it has a wooden rung at the end, I always like to throw in a pillow. So it just brings my whole body forward. So that's like taking a sophisticated chair and tilting the seat pan. So by tilting the seat pan, it allows me to have at least one knee lower than my hip, which is going to encourage a more neutral lumbar lordosis. And again, the rest of the spine follows suit. The nice thing about this position now is that I can hinge from my hips when I'm going forward. So my head is just coming with me as I move from the hip joint. And then, because again, I don't want to be down like this just with my head, by bringing my surface up, and this is really nice for sewing or crafts or these kind of things, by bringing the surface up, you're going to keep your head in a much more neutral position, and that's going to be so much easier on your neck muscles. So I hope this really helps you with your studies and your success in school.